Another episode of Breaking It Down with Baish. Haven't been here for a while. Been sick, having to take care of stuff and work and all that fun stuff. But people don't know. This is Breaking It Down with Baish. I talk about all kinds of shit, mostly like sports or just stuff that we had a mental health episode and all that kind of other jazz, talk about fatherhood and stuff like that. But today I'm talking about one of my favorite sports. No, it's not the WWE, which is a whole nother thing that I need to talk about and discuss with somebody else, like a Patrick or a Corey Castle, anybody that's like super into it like I am. But we're talking about the NFL, football, one of the greatest sports games in the world. I love it. I played it, for many years. I am also a huge, huge Dallas Cowboy fan. Like, I love the Cowboys. Can't see it right now, but it's tattooed on me. I have a almost a picture frame or that's framed of all of the 5 Super Bowls the Cowboys won that my wife got me for my birthday. Cowboy hats, cowboy jerseys, all this stuff. I'm starting to dislike being a Cowboy fan. I'm not gonna turn my card in, but it's rough. So every year around the beginning of March, teams start looking at what they have on their rosters. People that didn't perform well, contracts that are too big, that aren't great for them, and just bad contracts they want you to get rid of through trades, through cutting people, through telling guys like, hey, we give you permission to go talk to another team about a trade to hopefully get that person out of there and get that other team to take up, whatever that cap space is. So first domino to fall was Russell Wilson, who played like ass trash, hamster shit his first year in Denver. Just bad. Was losing to teams 6-3 or 10-0 or 13-3. Where watching a game was like watching paint dry. It was bad. So second year, a lot better. But to be honest, most of his touchdowns and stuff came against teams that didn't have a defense. But, a win's a win. Yards are yards, touchdowns are touchdowns. So he is informed halfway through the season. Broncos don't want him. Then at the end of the season, they bench him for the last 2 games because they're like, we don't want this dude to get hurt, so we have to pay him. But lo and behold, had to pay his ass anyway. Russell Wilson was cut by the Denver Broncos because Sean Payton didn't like him, to be honest. He just didn't like him. It wasn't his guy. And I think Russell Wilson – well, let me finish this and I'll get to Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was cut, so that means the Broncos still owed him $2 million that they paying him next year not to play for them. Imagine that, your boss telling you, bye, you're fired, but guess what? I'm giving you $38 million to go work for somebody else. That's what Russell Wilson is doing with the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. He can only help the Steelers. Kenny Pickett, I don't know if he's not the guy or he's hurt or wasn't giving enough help. I don't know. Pickett played like ass last year. So, I like Pickett, but I had him as a backup on my fantasy team. I cut his ass like 5 games into the season, and I think that was too long. So he goes there to play on the vet minimum, which I believe is $1.2 million. So, the 38 plus the 1, he's going to be making close to $40 million this year. So no boo-hoos or cries for Russell Wilson. He's going to be okay. But the Broncos now incur, I believe, 85 to 87 millions of dead cap space. What that means is that player's not on that team, but that contract still works against him. So Russell Wilson's contract essentially still there for the next 2 years. So there's $85 million stretched out over these next 2 years for the Broncos, but they should be better without him. Russell Wilson is one of those guys who I think was good, but not great. I don't think – look at this. When he came into the league, he was given one of the best defenses in NFL history, Legion of Boom, with Cam Chancellor, Bruce Irvin, Thomas, Richard Sherman, Browner, a bunch of dudes that were just all pros, and just the defense was so good that in some games people wouldn't throw the ball against them. And not to mention they had beast mode. If you don't know what that is, look up Beastquake on YouTube with Marshawn Lynch. That dude is a monster and one of the best running backs in NFL history. But that was in front and behind Russell Wilson, which made him look a lot better than he was. Wasn't a scrub by any means, but he's the reason, him and Pete Carroll, the reason why the Seahawks don't have 2 Super Bowls. So I believe Russell Wilson's last 2 years in Seattle were bad because he didn't have Marshawn Lynch. He didn't have any of the other stuff around him, so he had to do it himself. Let Russ cook. Let's ride Broncos country. He's not good. He's okay. He used to be good. Not great. Just, it sucks, but that's what it is. But so Russell Wilson is a Steeler. So when free agency opened up on Monday, March 11th, I was like, cool, Cowboys going to do something. They're going to get something. They're going to do some things. They're going to, make some changes to this roster. Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones's words were all in. We're going to do what we need to do to turn this team into a Super Bowl team. Wrong. They have done nothing. And I get it. It's only been 3 days, and actually free agency opened Wednesday, but you can make deals as of Monday. And today is Wednesday, and they made no deals. Sorry. They re-signed their long snapper. They have not restructured or re-signed Dak Prescott, which they should have done during the season. Don't understand why they waited. There's something else better out there. We have let our defensive ends go to Washington. We have let our center go to Washington. Our starting running back is now a Titan, which I don't understand that one either. Tony Pollard's best years was when he had Zeke Elliott. You had a power back and a flashback, could go thunder and lightning, and he goes to a team with another flashback. Tajay Spears is a pretty good back, but they're pretty much the same back. And Tennessee, talking about Tennessee, has signed Calvin Ridley to a $91 million deal. So they're adding to their team. Will Levis is their quarterback. He was a rookie last year, played good in some games, not in a lot. We'll have DeAndre Hopkins there to help, with that. But their defense does not look good. Offensive line is very porous. I don't know. I think some teams are throwing money at people that, they earned it. They're football players. They grinded. They did what they needed to do. Just scheme fits. Don't, really. So I'm thinking, okay, Dallas let Pollard go. All right, cool. Saquon's still out there. I fucking hate the Eagles. I'm a Cowboy fan. I hate the Redskins. Sorry. Commanders, but we all know who they actually are. I hate the Commanders, the Giants, and the Eagles. I hate the Sheagles. I just don't like their fans. I don't like, we got one ring in 70 years. Sweet. It's just, I like Jason Kelsey. I like some of their players. Some of the players are nice. It's just, I hate the Eagles. The Eagles pick up Saquon Barkley for a little more than $10 million a year. And I'm like, Dallas couldn't have paid Saquon a little bit more than $10 million. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm sad about that, but let's move on. Whatever. We didn't get Saquon. So then I see Josh Jacobs, the running back for the Raiders. Great running back, young, hard worker, He gets signed to the Packers. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, what's going on? What's happening here that we can't seem to understand to sign somebody? Maybe I'm thinking these guys are pricing themselves out of the range of the Cowboys. I'm like, okay, they're not giving plenty of reasons of why the Cowboys aren't doing anything. It's just like, okay, guys are getting signed. So then I look again and I see Aaron Jones gets cut. And I'm like, okay, that sucks he got cut, but, he's from Texas, lives in Texas, Cool. He can't want more than $6-7 million a year. And all people are thinking 6-7 is a lot of money. But in the NFL, after tax and all that kind of stuff, it's still a couple million, but it's not, what the huge number says. So Aaron Jones, I look the next morning, he gets signed by Minnesota. Zach Moss, a running back who was with the Colts, was on the Cowboys' radar, and he gets signed by the Bengals, who are going to release Joe Mixon. And I'm like, the reason the Cowboys didn't get Zach Moss was because they said he was priced out of their range. Zach Moss signed for $4.3 million. So that tells me you guys don't care, Cowboys. Sorry. My fandom is getting in the way of my brain right now. It's just Joe Mixon. They're like, okay, well, we're going to cut him. So I'm like, all right, cool. If they're going to cut him, wait it out. But I would call about him and see, if there's a trade that could be had. So you wouldn't have to compete or bid against other teams. Cowboys don't do that. He gets traded to the Texans, I believe, for a 5th or 4th, something like that. So I'm like, cool. The one that hurt the most, Derrick Henry, King Henry, the locomotive. This dude is a beast. If you've never seen any of his highlights, look on YouTube at Derrick Henry just stiff arming the shit out of people and watching them contemplate their lives while he runs past them. I believe he's 248 pounds, but he looks like he's 300 pounds running down the field and super fast and tall. This dude is a monster. From Texas. Lives in Texas. I'm like, cool. Derrick Henry was getting paid 16 last year. He's probably going to want probably close to 9 to 11, maybe in that range. You don't even call Derrick Henry. He goes to the Ravens to make them even better. Ravens look scary. And as I look in the free agency for the Cowboys, it's sadness. It's just like every year as a Cowboy fan, you get hyped, you get pumped to watch this team do better, do something. And we think we're going to be this monstrous gust of wind coming through the NFL, and we're like a wet fart. It's just horrible, man. Look, Dak Prescott, I'm not saying is the best quarterback in the NFL. That belongs to Patrick Mahomes. No question. It's like Patrick and everybody else. It's like right here. Besides, Joe Beasley's and Josh Allen. But even Josh Allen hasn't been able to get it done against Patrick Mahomes. So, Dak Prescott's a very good quarterback. He's not great, but he is good. Anyone that says he's bad doesn't know how to watch football or is just throwing on haterade. It just doesn't make any sense. Dak Prescott is good. We released Zeke Elliott a year too early. Zeke Elliott was going to take a pay cut. He should have still been there last year to spell Tony Pollard. Things would have been better for Tony Pollard. I think things would have been better for Dak. Tyron Smith, our left tackle, always getting hurt. Didn't play, I think, the last 3 years out of the, 34 out of the 50 games. He played in 27 of them, I believe, maybe 31. I think it's 27 of them, but wants $11 to $13 million a year. That, for me personally, that's too much. It should be a thing of like, hey, I was stuck with you over months of times where you didn't play, games upon games of you being hurt, staying hurt. Not your fault you get hurt, but I'm just saying there should be a little bit of, I get it. It's weird saying a billion-dollar team should, get more, but I'm just saying it's just more or less like that. CeeDee Lamb's a monster. He'll get paid. Micah Parsons is a monster, but for some reason when it gets late in the season, his stats just go like this. And it sucks. Our secondary is not good. Deron Bland is good in spurts, but he's a slot corner. And playing on the outside is putting him out of position. Played well, got the interception, touchdown record this year, but not having Trayvon Diggs out there was a huge thing. Gilly, towards the end of the season, except for that Philly game, looked old. He was getting beat by average receivers. When I say average, it's guys that on fantasy, you'd be like, I'm not starting that guy. Even if my 2 stars are hurt, I'm still not starting that guy. Jordan Lewis, who's a free agent, played really well after he came back from his injury. We're too small at linebacker. Marquise Bell played great being an undersized linebacker, but I think he should be playing safety. I think him playing linebacker last year was great for him to be able to see the field up close. And I think putting him at free safety and not re-signing Curse would be a great thing to do, having Donovan Wilson, Marquise Bell, and Hooker back there. I'm not too sold on Hooker either. Need to fix the corner situation. Need to fix the linebacker situation. I thought we were going to go after like a Bobby Wagner or a Queen from the Ravens. Queen went to the Steelers. Hooray for him. He got paid. He played great last year. And Wagner went to Washington to play with Dan Quinn, who he played with in Seattle, which makes sense. Defensive line were too small. Mozzie Smith was our first-round pick last year. Played pretty well, but nothing spectacular, nothing that you'd grade a first-rounder on. The defense has about 4 glaring holes that need to be fixed. And what we've done in free agency, and I understand it's only been 3 days, is evident of that. It seems like we're going to go to 99 Cent Store to get players when we could have been shopping at Target. You know what I mean? Like, you get what you pay for. On offense, we lost our left tackle, lost our center. Lyle Collins is still there. I did forget about him, but he plays right tackle. Maybe you can move him to left tackle or guard or whatever. It's just Hoffman, who was an undrafted free agent, is probably going to step in at center. At receiver, Michael Gallup, man, his first 2 years in Dallas was great. He was great. Then tore his ACL. Then Dallas had a choice of Amari Cooper or Gallup and chose Gallup. Gallup's younger, more upside maybe, but Gallup was horrible last year. Was barely in any of the games. Made some good catches, but you got to look at what Amari Cooper did the last 2 years and what Michael Gallup has done. So, you can't look back and be like, oh, we should have done this. You always make leaps. What if Gallup would have done way better? Be a different conversation. But this is what infuriates me. So Dallas knows that they're going to get rid of Amari Cooper. You say that. You continue to say that you're going to get rid of him. And then you're like, oh, wait, we'll try to trade him. So you only get a 5th-round pick for him. Amari Cooper is worth more than a 5th. We gave up a 1st for him. And we traded him for a 5th. Then now it's, hey, we're giving Michael Gallup permission to talk to other teams because he might be a post-June cut. So why would any team trade for him? Dallas does some unconscionable shit where you're just like, why? Dak Prescott played great last year, except in the 49er game, but nobody played well. Our coaches got out-coached. We just got beat. The other game we lost in Philly, look, Philly knew that they got out of that game easy. Penalties down the line, us not executing right, and they beat us. After that, we smashed Philly. We smashed a lot of people last year, but they were bad teams. On offense, the only running back under contract right now is Deuce Vaughn. Now, Deuce Vaughn's a good player. I want him to get more touches and more stuff during the year, but, it didn't happen. For whatever reason, he didn't get it. But we have one running back under contract who's 5'6", I believe. Nothing against his height, but, if we're going to run him into the ground and give him 20 to 25 carries, his body's not going to be able to hold up to that. At quarterback, for me, honestly, it's getting to the point where I'm just like, I believe Dak's a good player, but if we're not doing anything with this team the way it's constructed, like we have Brandon Cooks and CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb on the outside, Brandon Cooks should be a slot receiver, and we go draft another receiver or bring in Diggs to play the other side. But that's a lot of money. If you're not going to be all in like you said you were, Jerry and Stephen Jones, it's understandable. It's y'all's team. We're Cowboy fans. We're gonna follow it like no matter what. I've been there when the Dallas was 4-12, 3-13, getting blown out on Fox, and them laughing and shooting to another game. Um, I've been there through Quincy Carter, just Drew Bledsoe, Vinny Testaverde, having Eddie George there, Richie Anderson. Keyshawn's not a scrub, but Keyshawn wasn't it. Giving 2 first-round picks for Joey Galloway or Roy Williams, Clint Storner. It's just Drew Henson, Chad Hutchinson. It's just being a Cowboy fan hurts, which any fan of any team that has the drought that we have had of Super Bowl, not of success, because there's always hype for the Cowboys. There's always players going to the Pro Bowl. There's always players who are all pro. There's always players who get in commercials and other stuff, and we're hyped about the season. So, not that, but actual Super Bowl success where the goal should be. I think Michael Parsons said it best. He's like, Josh Allen's a good player. He's a great quarterback. What has he won? And when Stephen A. Smith said, oh, he's gotten farther than Dak Prescott, that's cool. You just 1 week away from getting on the couch. Dallas is sitting on the couch the first week of the playoffs. You guys are sitting down the second week. You really congratulating yourself on getting to the second week every single year and losing. I get it. It's an accomplishment, but it's not doing anything. To me, if you're not in that Super Bowl, you haven't done anything that year, unless you're like someone like the Bucs. And shout out to Baker Mayfield for doing what he did. Because, man, I'm a Baker fan. I'm a huge Baker fan. And for him to be able to take Tampa to where he took them and win a playoff game and beat the Eagles, which was great, is awesome. Detroit is a huge story and a great story. And I hope they capitalize. I wanted Detroit versus Baltimore or Detroit versus Kansas City in the Super Bowl. We didn't get it, but I would have loved for the city of Detroit to get that ring or get close to getting the ring. That would have been great. But on the Dallas side, it just looks like the Joneses are happy with mediocrity as long as the Cowboys are the first story on ESPN or the first story on everybody's pundit talking show or whatever you call it. They're happy. We are the first thing that happened on First Take or First Things First or whatever the other show is. Man, with that dude Acho, can't stand that dude. But it's not, oh, look what Dallas is doing. It's Dallas still ain't done nothing. Dallas is going to be the same old thing. The hater, I can't remember her name, the Joy, or is her name Joy? I don't think it's, Joy Taylor, sorry. Beautiful woman, very knowledgeable about football, sports, but man, she's a Cowboy hater. Shady McCoy, Cowboy hater. I get it. You got your jobs to do, but it's like their job is to hate on the Cowboys even when they shouldn't be. But, it's just frustration as a Cowboy fan of coming on here, and congratulations to all those dudes that cashed in. Gardner Minshew going to the Raiders. He's probably going to be a bridge quarterback. Whoever they're going to draft is going to sit. I think Gardner Minshew is a sneaky pick because I think he can win something and do something for them. They also signed Wilkinson, the team's tackle from the Dolphins to shore up their line and help Crosby. So I think that's awesome. Panthers traded their safety for the Steelers' right receiver, Deontay Johnson, to help Bryce Young. Bryce Young's kind of ass. But, a lot of teams are doing a lot of things in the NFL. We are doing nothing. Kirk Cousins leaving Minnesota to go to Atlanta is huge. I think if you play fantasy, Kirk Cousins with Drake London and Kyle Pitts is going to be a crazy, crazy way to, pump up points. I don't know. It's just difficult being a Cowboy fan and trying to understand why things go the way they are. And I'm a Cowboy fan who understands, I'm not sitting here saying every single year we're going to Super Bowl. I say it based off what's going on. Yeah, if Dak Prescott keeps playing the way he's playing and going within the offense, and our running game can go. But I was telling people all year long, we can't stop the run. And if our pass rush can't get to somebody, we can't cover for that long without Trayvon Diggs. We don't have a safety that can cover a tight end or a slot. Gilly was good. Like I said, he was getting burnt by young, average receivers. Deron Bland was playing out of position. He's a slot corner. You know, Mozzie Smith, our first round pick, wasn't really doing well. Our second round pick, Schoonmaker. I know we really wanted the kid, that Buffalo guy, but we didn't get him. So we panicked and went for Schoonmaker, who's a blocking tight end. Ferguson's a beast. He's turned into one. So I think we're good with Ferguson. It's just, certain things you look at with Dallas was like, hey, sign Dak Prescott to the extension, see if he'll take a pay cut, see if he'll, work for guaranteed money instead of, contract like going through. Like he's making a lot of money off the field. Hey, nothing wrong with, having that Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady conversation. Like, hey, you've made a lot of money here. You're making a lot of money off the field. You're the face of the Cowboys. You're the Dallas Cowboy quarterback. How about taking $30 million instead of 60 and let us build and help this roster out? Before free agency, hey, we'll give you 30, but just so you know, we're going to go after this receiver, this tight end, and Derrick Henry. Or we're going to go after Saquon Barkley. And that's why we're having you take less money. We're going to re-up CD. We're going to re-up Parsons so that you have a future here with them and not just throw into a guy off the street or off the practice squad. It's just, sadness. Next couple of days, I'm hoping that Dallas does something well and does something good. Am I thinking it's going to happen? No. But, every other team in the NFC East, which is the Giants, the Sheagles, and the Commanders, they're all playing chess right now. Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones aren't even playing checkers. I don't know what they're playing. They're playing like Connect Four, but missing half the pieces. They're playing Candyland and can't get out of, the candy forest. I don't know. It's just bad. But yeah, it's just, my rant on breaking it down with Baish having to do with football because I love football. I love watching it. I love cheering for it. Even when it looks rigged, I still love it. I love fantasy football. I love everything having to do with football, college, by the way, NCAA, the video game, is going to be coming out probably June-ish. Look for it. Get it. It's going to be dope. Can't wait for it. Miss that game. Anybody ever play Hell Divers? Play it. It's awesome. Get to kill bugs. It's like Starship Troopers on steroids. You get to have fun with your friends, blowing up fucking bugs. Also, if you need soap, if you need lotion, anything like that, Benford's Beautiful Soaps. Look it up on IG. That's Benford's, Benford, Beautiful Soaps at IG or on IG. Go on there, look on the site, see stuff you like. Say, breaking down with Baish or the ROC, the Return of the Critics, sent you. You get a discount. It'll be great. The woman who runs it is awesome because it's my wife. But yeah. Also, like I'm plugging everything right now. But Locals Only Vodka. Go and grab it. Not expensive vodka, but really good vodka. Made in San Diego. The owners of this brand are awesome dudes. They're dads. They're great guys. It's just, from what my fellas tell me, this is amazing, amazing vodka. Goes well with, other chasers and other stuff and can drink it by itself. So, the Drip, Eddie, guys that I know, the Gentleman Pretty, they all say it's great. Obviously, I can't say it's great from drinking it just because I don't drink. But the dude who does run it and does own it is an awesome guy. He's amazing. Wonder if I missed the plugging thing. Also, want to thank Jukebox Ginger. Look up his stuff and everything on his platform and everything going on with him because he's great. He's a great leader, great boss. But yeah, look up Breaking It Down with Baish on Spotify and YouTube and everything else. And Return of the Critics, a podcast. Look up that too. So yeah, this was fun. Love talking about football. Had my little free agency rant. More guys are going to get signed. More money's going to get thrown around. Also, RIP to Chris Mortensen. Grew up watching him on ESPN and like the drafts and other stuff. Every time there's a breaking news or interview, that dude was awesome. He was great. He lost his battle with cancer, so that sucks. But yeah, appreciate y'all listening to my Dallas Cowboy rant. If you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, put in the comment. Am I wrong about this? Am I wrong that we're not doing what we need to do? Am I wrong that we've been steadily going backwards the last 2 years? I don't want any Dak hate because if you're gonna get in here and hate on Dak Prescott, unless your quarterback is Patrick Mahomes, you really can't say anything. So I appreciate y'all listening. And yeah, I think that's gonna be it for Breaking Down with Baish. So y'all have a good day, good night, good morning, whatever you want to call it.